to knock it down.
Yes, she is a knockdown shooter. She is feisty over there, making the offensive foul. Clark takes the three and drills it.
Oh my! Behind.
Hello guys, welcome back. So, okay, preseason has finally kicked off, and we've got our first real look at this Indiana Fever squad in action. They go into New York and walk out of New York with a W in hand. And yeah, I know, it's preseason, it doesn't count in the standings, but don't sit there and pretend like this doesn't matter at all. There are things you can take away from this, there are things you can learn, and there are definitely players who helped themselves today. Let's start with the positives, because there were quite a few. Raven Johnson, you played well today. I was pleased with what I saw. I'm not going to do backflips just yet. I'm not about to crown anything, but I am going to give credit where credit is due. The energy, the defensive impact, the activity level, it all stood out. This is one of those performances where the box score is not going to tell the full story, and that's fine, because if you watched the game, you saw it. And then Justine Pissott, 10 minutes, already hitting 2 threes. 8 points in 10 minutes from Justine. That's efficient, that's impactful, and more importantly, that's confidence. Both of those players, both of those rookies, definitely look like rotation players to me. They look like they could play in the WNBA to me. And not just survive, they look like they could actually contribute. Now let's talk about Sophie Cunningham. Yes, sesh. Sophie Cunningham's coming out with a point to prove, and it shows. You can see it in the way she's playing. You can see it in the shot selection, the aggression, the defensive effort, hitting 3 after 3 after 3, playing defense, getting steals. You love to see that kind of chemistry building early. So yeah, I really liked what I saw from Sophie Cunningham. And then you've got the opening stretch of the game. First 3 minutes, Caitlyn Clark backs down, gets into the post, little bit of strength there, little bit of confidence. Let me get a little post action right over you. Then boom, Caitlyn Clark hits a 3, step back 3, pull up, bang. That's the kind of sequence where you're like, okay, here we go. This is the tone setter. This is what this team can be when it's flowing. That right there was the first preseason game for the Indiana Fever this year. And yeah, we're going to break it down properly because context matters. The New York Liberty did not play their starters in the second half. That is true. But don't get it twisted. The New York Liberty starters played a lot of the first half, and the Fever were still up at halftime. That matters. That tells you something. Now, the Fever did play some weird lineups. You could tell they were experimenting. You could tell they were trying to figure things out. And I'll get into more detail about who played well and what we need to see going forward. But one thing is for sure, Mysha Hines-Allen is going to be chaos. She's going to be there to cause havoc. There are going to be games where she does X and it works, and you're like, okay, I see the vision. And then there are going to be games where she does the exact same thing, and it absolutely does not work at all. That's just the kind of player she is. And I don't really know how well she's going to fit consistently. But the good thing for Indiana is they don't need her to be perfect. On the other side, the game-high scorer was Han Hu with 20 points for the New York Liberty. She was really good. If you don't know, she's the 7-footer for New York, and she plays like it. She hit a 3, her defense was solid, and yeah, only 2 blocks officially, but that doesn't tell the full story. She swatted Caitlyn Clark once and altered multiple other shots. You could see her presence. You could feel it. For the first half, when it actually mattered, Breanna Stewart just went nuclear. That's what superstars do. Meanwhile, Sabrina Ionescu, I'm going to be honest, I barely noticed her. If you had asked me how many minutes she played, I would have guessed like 10. That's why you don't overreact to preseason. It's not about the stars right now, it's about rhythm, reps, and evaluation. Now, the Fever started off exceptionally well. That's probably the biggest takeaway for me. The energy, the pace, the scoring, they came out sharp. But let's address the defense, because I've seen people trying to hype it up. Oh, their defense looked good. No, it didn't. Not for 1 minute. Their defense was not good in this game, and it's probably not going to be good this season either. And before anyone says, oh, when Lexi Hall and Aaliyah Boston come back, no, it's not magically going to become elite. That's not how this works. This team is built to play fast, to push tempo, to create chaos. They're blitzing everything defensively, and they're not particularly great at executing it cleanly. So what does that mean? It means they're trying to force the opponent into playing faster, and honestly, I kind of like that approach. It looks like they're trying to win games in the hundreds. They're trying to outgun teams. Steph White can say top 5 defense all she wants, but the actual play style says something different. You cannot be a top 5 defense if you're actively speeding up the game. That's just reality. But what you can be is an elite offensive team that overwhelms opponents. And in that first half, especially that first quarter, they did exactly that. They ran, they gunned, and they executed at a high level. Now, Caitlyn Clark herself had an interesting game. She struggled shooting massively after the start, hit her first 2 shots, then missed 8 in a row. 8 straight misses. That's rough. But look at the shot quality. She was taking tough shots. A lot of them were forced, a lot of them were contested. There was one bad catch-and-shoot miss, but the rest? It was more about testing limits. And that's fine. It's preseason. This is when you experiment. This is when you say, all right, I'm going to chuck a little bit, I'm going to try things. She didn't shoot well, but she passed the ball well. 0 turnovers, didn't force bad passes. If anything, she was just forcing jump shots. That's a much better problem to have. Kelsey Mitchell, on the other hand, got really hot in the second quarter. Really, really hot. And when we're talking about the starters who actually played well, it's Sophie Cunningham and Kelsey Mitchell at the top of that list. They were the 2 best players for Indiana in this game. But let's be real, the bench is the real story here. Because they played most of the minutes, and they're the ones fighting for spots. And this is where it gets interesting. The Indiana Fever are hiding Justine Pissott. That's what it looks like. They want her on a developmental deal. They don't want to fully commit yet. But performances like this make it difficult. Because the stat sheet says 1 rebound, but realistically, she had 4. Tip rebounds count in real basketball terms, even if they don't show up officially. 2 phantom fouls, 1 real one, a block that somehow got taken away, 2 quick trigger threes, and that coast-to-coast play where she nearly finished over Han Shu, that's upside. That's raw talent. She's not ready to be a full rotation player yet, but she doesn't need to be. She can still be valuable. Now, KK Timpson showed similar flashes. Congratulations to Michaela Timpson for her first assist as a member of the Indiana Fever. It took a year, but it happened. Defensively, she looked solid at times, got some steals, but the inconsistency is still there. With the starters, she looked good. With the bench units, she looked like old KK Timpson. Turnovers, bad decisions, even passing the ball directly to the Liberty players at times. Shatori Walker-Kimbrough had a tale of 2 halves. Looked terrible against the Liberty starters, then looked amazing against the bench. Megan McConnell did the little things. Kiana Traylor struggled badly in the first half, then bounced back in the second. Jessica Timmons had her moments going ISO and hitting some tough shots. And then we circle back to Raven Johnson. This is impact basketball, the kind that doesn't fully show up in stats. The defense, the effort, the blocks, the steals, the hustle. That's what stands out. But here's the issue. Ty Harris exists, and that complicates everything because you're not bringing in Ty Harris to sit on the bench. You're just not. So where does that leave Raven Johnson? Probably at the small forward spot, and that's going to be a challenge. We saw it in the first half. Small lineups struggled. Shatori Walker-Kimbrough at the 3, not great. Getting killed on the boards, getting dominated inside. But Raven Johnson didn't feel small when she was out there. That's the difference. Still, it's going to be tough, because archetype-wise, you've got players like Jordan Canada out there at lower prices, and roster construction becomes a real conversation. For the Liberty, Han Shu and Maureen Johannes stood out. Han Shu was fantastic. She's making the roster, no question. But let's be honest, most of the players who played in the second half for New York are not making the team. That's just the reality. And that's why I cannot believe FanDuel had the Liberty favored. This was never a serious game for them. People called me a dumbass for saying they wouldn't take it seriously. But look at the rotation. The starters played 0 minutes in the second half. 0. That tells you everything. So yeah, that's the breakdown. Tell me what you think. Don't forget, like and subscribe.
Here we go. Together on 3, 1, 2, 3.